guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, my name is Nicole, and today you're not going to get 1, 2, 3, but 4 new recipes. Why so many? Well, because here recently at my house, we decided to start doing family movie night on Friday nights. The summer is so busy and so hectic that while the fall is still very busy and very hectic, we thought maybe we could hopefully slow down on a Friday night to sit down, enjoy some good food, a good movie, and each other's company. So this week, or rather the last Friday, which was a few days ago, we watched Woodpecker that came out, I believe, in 2017. We had never seen it. My youngest and my husband had sat down to watch it a few weeks ago but didn't finish it, so that was family movie nights. We also made homemade cannelloni with homemade pasta noodles, 2 recipes, garlic cheesy bread based off of Pioneer Woman's but a little bit different, and Lunchroom Lady Brownies. So if that sounds good to you, think about subscribing to this channel, giving this video a thumbs up, and let's get started on this week's recipes.
Today we're going to be making homemade cannelloni that has been smoked. That is our main course. So the best way to do this particular egg pasta, which came from Shireen, she has a YouTube channel and I can link to her dough recipe below, I believe. Anyway, the best way to do it is to get a kitchen scale, and you want equal parts of 00 flour and semolina flour. Now, I figured it was easier to measure in grams than it was in ounces, simply because that was a whole number versus having to do a half. So you want to start with 156 grams of both types of flour, and again, it is just as easy to use your kitchen scale. Then you're going to add a pinch of salt, go ahead and mix all of your flours together with your salt. You can do it with your hand, you could do it with a whisk, you can do it with the paddle attachment, whatever is easiest. I just used the paddle attachment because it was in my hand. Then go ahead and put your bowl on your mixer and attach your paddle, and then we are going to add some olive oil. Finally, you're going to add 4 large egg yolks to your mixture, and then go ahead and turn your mixer on to mix that all together until it's kind of coarse and crumbly. Now here comes the part where you have to read your dough. We're going to add somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 cup of water. Depending on your humidity, could have an effect on how much water you need to add, and you just kind of need to watch how the dough reacts. If it starts getting a little too loose, go ahead and add a little bit more flour. That's what I had to do this particular day. If it's still a little too dry, go ahead and add a little bit more water. Toward the end, only do it in pinch increments. I did go ahead and switch to the dough hook. I'm not a let's do it all with the dough hook, but I'm starting to become a let's use the paddle and then switch to the dough hook. And anybody who's been around here for a while understands that whole scene. Anyway, I started adding just a pinch of flour here and there, trying to get the dough to what you want it. Basically, you want it to form a ball, and you want your dough hook to be able to move it easily around the mixer so that it goes ahead and works those glutens, because that's what you're doing. You're kneading it with the mixer. Finally, once your dough comes together, go ahead and get out some cling wrap, and you're going to let this dough rest covered for about an hour at least. You can put it into the fridge up to overnight, but if you do that, you need to pull it out for a half an hour to let it come to room temperature. We were going to use it that day, so I just covered it and let it sit on the counter to rest.
Okay, So I'm going to take y'all on a little journey here. My wife gets a little crazy at me because I'm not really a recipe kind of guy. I'm going to do it and hope it tastes good when we're done kind of guy. And that's what we're going to do today. By the way, if you don't have a pair of these, and I've said this before I think, but they come in the boxes of Oklahoma Joe's rubber gloves that you get. I got them at Lowe's. You can buy them on Amazon for, I don't know, you get like 10 of them for $5 or something like that. But you put them under your rubber gloves. Works great for when you're touching hot food, or if you've ever mixed meat and had that's cold and had your fingers feel like they're about to just snap, they work great for that too.
He makes fun of the fact that I like to have a recipe, but, you know, come another time that we want to make this, he'll look at me and he'll say, hey, do you know what we put in that? Or do you have any records? So anyway, what we did is we added 1 pound of sausage.
And we got some good old Middle America beef.
And then we added a pound of ground hamburger to the same bowl. He dug through my cheese drawer in the refrigerator and found some Pecorino Romano that I had in there. Now, if you don't happen to have Pecorino Romano, you can substitute Parmesan. Parmesan comes from cow's milk, whereas Pecorino Romano has a little bit more of a bite because it does come from sheep's milk. And then to that, you also want to add about 1 cup of ricotta cheese.
It blended in. I couldn't find it. Little garlic salt with parsley. Tiny bit of fennel. A little Italian seasoning. In case she hasn't told you yet, we're stuffing cannelloni. And we're going to cook it on the grill. This, by the way, is bourbon infused black pepper.
Finally, it's time to mix all the ingredients together. Now, remember, you just want to mix until it is fully incorporated. You do not want to overmix, or you could have tough meat. Now, he and I roll pasta sheets a little bit differently, but basically you take your ball of dough and you cut it into 6 equal parts. The pieces that you are not using, you want to keep covered with plastic just so they don't dry out, and just work with 1 piece at a time. We're using the KitchenAid attachment. However, the one that does hook on your counter works just fine. You just start with the biggest opening and you condense it down until you get the size you want.
Okay, kids, here's what we're going to do. We're going to drop a few of these in, cook them for a couple of minutes, and then pull them out and put them on towel. That's what I was told. So, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alexa, set 2-minute timer.
So you want to parboil your noodles. What you're going to do is bring a pot of water to a boil, and then you're going to put your noodles in for about 2 to 3 minutes, just until they kind of tighten up and hold their shape. Work in batches so that you don't crowd the pan. That way it helps keep a boil in the pan. Plus, when you're done, just go ahead and lay them out on a towel. You could also lay them on parchment paper, just something to help them not stick together. Another way to help keep them from sticking together is to just go ahead and add just a smidge of olive oil. Does it work? I don't know, but that's what a lot of people say, and other people will tell you no. So now it is time to go ahead and stuff your noodles. Basically, when you cut your noodles down, you wanted them to be about a 5-inch square. Ours weren't quite that, but pretty darn close. So we used the little bench cutter and just cut them as we needed to. Anyway, then you're going to pick up about a golf ball size of your mixture, your meat mixture, and you're going to work it into an oblong shape, and then you're going to wrap your pasta around it. Keep working until you either run out of noodles or meat mixture, whichever comes first. Next, you want to get your pan ready. You use your favorite type of pasta sauce. We used some stuff called truff. It was amazing. This was actually the first time we had tried it. Anyway, put just a little bit in the bottom. That way your noodles have something to absorb, and it also helps to keep them from drying out, and it gives them something to stick to or grip to when you're putting them in the pan. And then go ahead and line your noodles into the pan. Now, we put these in an aluminum pan because we were putting it on our smoker and we didn't want to mess up one of my 9x13 pans. If you're going to put it into your oven, basically you want to put it in a 9x13 pan, and you're going to put it in a 350 degree oven for about 20 to 25, maybe 30 minutes until the internal temperature is 145 degrees. So for the side, we chose to go with garlic cheese bread. You want to start out with a French loaf that you cut in half horizontally. In a bowl, you want to mix together your cheeses. This was 2 cups of triple cheddar mix along with 2 cups of Monterey Jack. She calls for 4 1/4 cups. I just went with 4 cups, and then added a half a cup of Parmesan cheese, a half a cup of mayo. I didn't have any green onions, so I didn't use them, a dash of salt, and mix it all together. Just off to the side, you can't see, I have a half a cup or 1 stick of butter on the stove melting that I'm getting ready to add 4 cloves of garlic to.
Corn or green beans, things like that. You cut yourself?
No, I got garlic in a cup.
Once your butter is melted and your garlic is added, go ahead and divide it and put half on one side of the bread and half on the other. Now it is time to spread half of the cheese mixture on one side and half of it on the other. Basically just use your hands and press it in. It will stick because that mayo helps it cling together. You're going to bake it in a 425 degree oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until that cheese is nice and golden and bubbly. Finally, I decided to make Lunchroom Lady Brownies. These things are amazing in my opinion. My husband wasn't quite a fan, but he's crazy. Anyway, add a half a cup of cocoa to 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of sugar, 4 eggs, a cup of butter, 4 teaspoons of vanilla, and you can also add a cup of chopped nuts. My husband and my youngest cannot have nuts, so we always leave them out of everything. And if anybody were to know me, they would know that brownies and I don't get along, and I screwed these up, so hey, look at me go. So you want to put these into a greased 9x13 pan. I really wanted to use my metal pan, but I couldn't get to it, so I just used this glass one. It cooks different, so I wound up having to add about 10 minutes cook time. But you want to put them into a preheated 350-degree oven, and they should cook for about 20 to 25 minutes. If you can insert a toothpick and it comes out clean, you know they're done. If it comes out messy, put them back in. Usually I add about 5 minutes when I put back in, but kind of read your stuff and you can usually tell. While the brownies are cooking, you can go ahead and make the icing. The icing calls for a 1/4 cup of softened butter. I think I added like a tablespoon more because it's what I had. I just rolled with it. Then you want to add a 1/4 cup of milk, a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 3 cups of powdered sugar, and a pinch of salt. My icing was a little on the thick side. It probably could have used about a tablespoon more of milk, but I went ahead and went with it. So if you notice I had a little bit of hard time spreading it out, that's why.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, he put cheese and sauce and didn't tell us. How dare he?
Pull that Greg out, honey.
Greg. Here's Greg. The bread's name is Greg, apparently. What's Greg going to make you stay in
Test them, test them, test them. Test them brownie yomies.
No, 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 no.
No. No. Not really in the neighborhood of dumb.
Well, that sucks. I wasn't recording when I cut my first 2 pieces. I probably should have cleaned my spatula off.